It's 5:45 p.m., which means it's time for BCTV's weekly Media Roundup 545 Live. I'm Roland Boyden.
And I'm Kia Bailey. Coming up on tonight's edition of 545 Live, we'll break down all the latest Select Board drama in Vernon, including the appointing of 2 new members, dive into the Brooks House tunnel opening debate, take you to Keene where a suspect in this week's shooting has been apprehended, and much, much more. All that in just 15 minutes, so stick with us.
Welcome back to this April 24th, 2015 edition of 545 Live. A look at some springtime footage as warmer weather descends upon the area and its winter bedraggled occupants, with some footage of last week's downtown rainbow that caught the eye of BCTV volunteer extraordinaire James Bansleben. And with that, into the headlines we go, where we'll look no further than the continuing controversy in Vernon.
2 months ago, the Vernon Select Board looked very different than it does now. Currently, Chairwoman Chris Howe is the only member of the board who has retained her position. In March, 2 new members were elected, and 2 resignations have been announced since then. Patty O'Donnell announced her resignation from the board on the 6th, and Jeff Dunkley declared he would be leaving the board a week after that on the 13th. Temporarily filling their spots until a special election is held are Munson Hicks and Steve Skipanowski. Adding to the complications of Vernon's town government situation, Phyllis Newton told the board on Monday that she would be resigning from her position as town lister as of the 1st of May. The special election to determine permanent replacements for these 3 vacated positions will be held at the earliest in June, although the date has not yet been determined.
I would like to make a motion that we nominate Steven Skibnowski to fill Jeffrey Dunkley's vacated position temporarily until the next election or next special election can be held, which will be done as soon as possible. And to extend Munson's term to said time frame, the next election as soon as possible.
Okay, motion's made, seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully execute the office of select person to the best of your judgment and abilities according to the law, so help you God?
I do.
Well, welcome aboard then. Have a seat.
And if you want to watch that full Vernon Select Board meeting from the 20th, or a special meeting from the 13th, or the original meeting from the 6th, where Patty O'Donnell first announced her resignation, you can find all 3 of those streaming on demand at brattleboro.tv.org. And the most recent Vernon Select Board meeting shows all this coming week. 2 clicks up the dial on our government and education sister channel, Channel 10. All right, time to move on now. And for that, back into the newsroom we go. The tunnel connecting High Street to Harmony parking lot has been closed for years. And with a new plan to build a park in the lot and add permanent blocks, it may stay that way. The owner and architect of the Brooks House, Bob Stevens, has received approval from the Development Review Board on a permit to build a park while keeping access for emergency responders, delivery vehicles, and safe pedestrian travel. However, the proposed park and closure of the tunnel have not gone unopposed. Select Board Chair David Gardenstein wrote an open letter stating that the number of vehicles that go through the space far outweighs the number of pedestrians that pass through the tunnel. And a permanently closed tunnel does not make sense with a park used only seasonally. Others have responded by saying that closing the tunnel would only close off the area more, making it even less used and also less monitored. And there's the issue of safety, especially traffic safety, which has come up more than once as a reason to not close the tunnel, but also as an argument in favor of closure, depending on how you spin it. Certain tenants with rented space located right above the tunnel hope traffic is not allowed to return, as noise and fumes would be disruptive and even dangerous to them. Now, Bob Stevens remains optimistic, already having had success with the 8 months the Brooks House has been reopened, and believes the park will be a positive addition to the Harmony parking lot area, something he spoke about at great length before the Development Review Board at their regularly scheduled meeting this past Monday night, something we've got a little footage of right now.
We are proposing with this application to close off the tunnel to regular vehicular traffic, to put a couple of bollards there that are removable. And that was actually, that was our intent, or I should say, it was our desire to do that early on. We applied for this site plan originally with the tunnel closed off. And one of our anchor tenants was very adamant that they needed to have that open if they were going to come into the building. They have since realized that they don't need that. They've also given us the option of moving their parking out of here, which gives us the opportunity, sort of once in a lifetime opportunity, to really build a substantial and high quality public space.
You can catch that full 3+ hour Development Review Board meeting from this past Monday, April 20th, which includes lengthy discussion of the tunnel closure and its impact on the community at the Brooks House, including a presentation from architect Bob Stevens. Find that all to stream at your leisure at BrittleRoadTV.org, and of course streaming on Channel 10 as well. All right, with that, time to move on in the headlines.
Kristen Walsh of Keene was arrested on Tuesday as part of the investigation of a murder case in Springfield on April 18th. Walsh, currently on probation for an incident from last fall, has been accused of, quote, hindering apprehension and tampering with witnesses, unquote. Gregory Allen Smith, who, according to a Vermont State Police press release, is Walsh's boyfriend, is wanted in connection with a second-degree murder that occurred as part of a drug dispute. Anyone with information about the fatal shooting or the location of Gregory Smith is asked to contact either the Keene or Springfield Police Departments.
All right, time to move on now. This past Wednesday, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services hosted an informational meeting about medical fraud. Held at the Brattleboro Senior Center, a panel of experts discussed common scams used, how to avoid becoming a victim of fraud, and more, with senior citizens and members of the public. And BCTV producer Kip Tewksbury was there to gather some footage. Let's take a look.
When we talk about healthcare fraud, we usually talk about healthcare fraud and abuse. People want to know, well, how bad is the problem? Over the last 4 years, from 2010 to 2014, the Office of Inspector General, through investigations of our criminal investigators, had 4,000 criminal convictions for people who knowingly and willfully committed healthcare fraud. During that same 4-year period, we recovered $18 billion related to healthcare fraud.
Well, thanks to Kip Tewksbury for gathering that footage. That full program will be available this coming week at BrittleRoadTV.org, and I'll show right here on BCTV Channel 8 as well. Now, for those of you who missed that meeting and before it goes up online, you can also check out the Brattleboro Savings and Loan hosted event, which is coming up on a similar topic with them focusing on senior financial abuse and fraud. It'll be held the 28th at 6 p.m. at Brattleboro Savings and Loan in downtown Brattleboro, in fact, just across the street from us.
Moving on, Governor Peter Shumlin was at Academy School on Wednesday to announce $1.9 million from the Vermont Clean Energy Development Fund to help the Windham Wood Heat Initiative, the first $75,000 of which have been allocated to Academy to replace the school's 45-year-old oil burner with a new wood heat boiler. The school has been planning to make this change for a while now, and this funding will allow the project to start in June after the students leave for the summer. Andy Pachuli, the principal at Academy School, says they hope to have the project completed by the time school reopens in September. The new heating system will save the school an estimated $25,000 per year.
All right, moving on. The students of Landmark College's 2015 Spring Broadcast Journalism class have been in BCTV's downtown studios for the past month, producing a series of evening news programs, and we've got a chance to focus in on a few of their stories, including this past week as they highlighted a special elite crime-fighting task force commissioned by the state police in Vermont. For more, let's take a look at the clip.
Vermont State Police have a new elite crime team. This 6-member team will investigate the most serious crimes such as homicides, suspicious deaths, and officer-involved shootings. The team will also investigate old unsolved murders and missing person cases. The reason for the team's formation is to give each case the full attention of experienced investigators rather than being worked on by detectives during spare time. The team has already worked on the case of the Bellows Falls man who was stabbed several weeks ago.
Now, in addition to being available at BrittleBoroTV.org, where Landmark Broadcasters has their own series, both from this spring session back through their January J-term specials and the fall of the previous year as well, where they put together a whole series of evening news shows. Not only can you see them all there in the archive, but we put 2 of their 3 upcoming episodes on BCTV Channel 8 for this coming week. You can find out when those will show and how to watch them, again, BrittleBoroTV.org. All right, time to move on now and check in with our weekly video calendar. This is all sponsored by the Brattleboro Savings and Loan, as their generous contributions to BCTV each year help fund our weekly look at upcoming events.
As part of Sexual Violence Awareness Month, the Women's Freedom Center is hosting their Take Back the Night event tonight at the Commons from 6 to 8 p.m., which includes a rally, music, a march through downtown, and a candlelit vigil. Survivors and supporters are welcome to join, as well as share their stories or thoughts.
For more on this event, Montpelier Connection host Mike Merwicki spoke with Freedom Center advocate Sherry, who spoke from behind the anonymity of BCTV's light screen about the importance of continuing to expand the community's awareness of the sexual violence that permeates all aspects of our society.
The stereotype, for still to this day, but all along has been that it's the stranger in the bushes, but overwhelmingly. Female victims tend to know the male perpetrators. So, in quotes, sort of the helpful news around that is that most of us know victims and can have some positive impact on their lives by being supportive. Most of us, tragically, also know rapists, right? Know these guys that are positioning themselves to commit a date rape of some kind. And there are ways that insightful bystanders can have an impact, can speak up.
All right, a few more events to check in with here on our BCTV video calendar, sponsored by the Brattleboro Savings and Loan. And next up, we go to Brooks Memorial Library, where in a true departure from his popular Don't Know Much About book series, author Kenneth C. Davis will join interested residents in Brattleboro via the teleconferencing equipment at the library for a Skype-driven book talk to discuss his new book entitled Hidden History of America at War, Untold Stories from Yorktown to Fallujah. For more on the event, which kicks off at 7 p.m. in the conference room at Brooks Memorial Library this coming Wednesday, the 29th, we spoke with Davis in advance of the event, also via Skype, for a special look ahead.
Unlike the Don't Know Much About books, which are question and answer format, The Hidden History of America at War is a dramatic narrative. It tells the story of 6 epic battles in American history, from the Revolution, the Battle of Yorktown, through Iraq and the Battle of Fallujah. But it's not just about what the generals and what armies do. It's really about who fights our wars and why we go to war.
That does it for another edition of 545 Live. We'll see you right here next week at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time on BCTV Comcast Channel 8. In the meantime, thanks for watching.
Get an oath of office signed, please.
Yes.
Okay? Thank you. All right, now we'll adjourn. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that was the shortest meeting.
I'm